This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Second hour, Nordo in for PA, although PA is going to be in studio at 11. Looking forward to catching up with him. Safe travels took place back from L.A. and SoFi, the disaster last night, and hopefully looking for something better. 9.5-point dogs. I think that's a little heavy, to be honest with you. But the Minnesota Golden Gophers are at the Iowa Hawkeyes tomorrow. It's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff at Kinnick. And it's a beautiful place to play in an institution-like college town and area and campus. It's beautiful. And he's going to make, my next guest going to make the 4.5-hour drive or so down there tomorrow morning. It's Ryan Burns from GopherIllustrated.com. Gopher, singular, illustrated.com is where you get all the hot intel. It's where I go for Gopher Bits. And he's in studio at Ryan Burns, MN via X. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are things for you today?
Well, it's mostly good. I mean, you know, life persists,
I was listening on the way in. I know you guys are going through it a little bit right now.
Yeah, well, it was just, I mean, it was bad as it got. I mean, whatever you thought off of the lack of accuracy from the QB and Jalen Hurts buying himself a little extra time with a weak pass rush, and he's finding A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith all over the place. Short week. Chargers had lost 3 of 4, can't run the ball to save their lives. This is a little bounce back opportunity. No, it was one of the most devastating and pathetic, dominating performances by an adversary that we've seen in quite a while. So, I mean, in 2022, I think you win at Buffalo, crazy game as that was. You get throttled by the Cowboys a week later. Yeah, that was Tony Pollard running all over. So that was a 40-3 bid at home. That was kind of nasty, but this one feels different. And they're 3-4. The college team, not 3-4. They're 5-2. But I want to get this. So you were on X last night.
Made the mistake of giving a Vikings opinion on X, which I don't know that I'll ever do again.
So I did not know, and maybe this is like an insulation thing for when you're out in the tree stand and you got that bow ready to find that 10-point buck.
Sitting out there last night. We're trying, Nordo. We're trying to get you some venison.
But I wasn't aware that wrapping yourself in tinfoil was an effective way to shield maybe the human scent and such that a deer may pick up on. Because apparently via X, your thought was, you know, you want to see Brosmer. I know you do.
I think we all wanted to see anyone but
Brosmer.
I mean, Carson Wentz nearly died out on the field last night. He almost had a lawsuit against the Wolves for them continuing to trot him out there.
And he wasn't going to pull himself out of the game.
No.
You needed, you know, whether it's the medical staff, you needed the coach.
Someone needed to help Carson help himself there.
Help me help you.
Yep.
Absolutely. They did not. Until, I mean, just the depths of the game where it just didn't matter. I mean, some could say maybe late stages of the first half, it already didn't matter, but, you know, that's subjective. You're thinking that they're not putting Brosmer in because there is a potential optics issue where this team invested in the 10th overall pick, loved the former Wolverine. He gets hurt rookie season. He can't help that, but he's back and he's healthy. And you don't do anything about Rodgers. You let Darnold go. You gave Daniel Jones actually more money than the Colts did, but you told him, come back to be a backup. And Shane Steichen's, you know, probably whispering in his ear, as Anthony Richardson, think, man, let's just say it's in your best interest to come to Indianapolis.
No doubt.
And now here he is with the Colts. But that's okay because we got J.J. McCarthy. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Carson Wentz would join later in the equation. Sam Howell wasn't very good, and Brett Rippon may just not have it, and maybe he is a career backup, and I forget where he is now, but he's not on our team. So we got Carson. They're not putting in the undrafted cat who was the talk of camp.
Who beat out those two former quarterbacks to get the spot, by the way.
He was undrafted, probably because he only had 1 year in the Big Ten. And they couldn't really figure out how to, okay, New Hampshire this. And it was a pretty nice season, but PJ's team runs it so much. And he goes undrafted, and he wins a job on the 53, as rare as that is for a QB. KO is not putting him in there, you're saying, with your tinfoil hat on in the tree stand, because the optics would be awful if Brosmer shows out.
Or just shows anything is kind of where I'm at with this.
Just shows a pulse.
Well, you think about the second half of last night's game. Again, I'm casual Vikings guy, but all I do throughout the week is watch college football.
Yeah,
I watch a ton of football. I've been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
And there's just no way you can look me dead in the eye and say that, especially as that game went on, and I'm watching Carson Wentz just grimace in excruciating pain. And he's taking some of the worst sacks I've seen. And yeah, the offensive line's no good, sure. But Carson's holding on to the ball too long. Yeah. And I know I've seen more Max Brosmer than probably many people listening to this. So good for me. That's not the point with this. Is what if he does play okay?
Right.
And then JJ comes back next week and it continues to look like it's looked for a majority of the season. What does that look like if you have Brosmer just look like he has a pulse? I mean, that's the whole thing with the bit is I still think that Brosmer could have been quarterback 2. Now, you can't go into the season. I'm not illogical, and I'm not Justin Garv with Brosmer brownstones and things like that. I understand the optics of what a UDFA rookie quarterback as QB2 in the NFL looks like, even for a quarterback whisperer.
So is it like Lindsey Lofts now? Like, what do we do with Drake Lindsey?
Yeah, we got a couple years, hopefully, to figure all that out.
We'll get to that. But the Brosmer brownstone, so you clearly had to have an established veteran.
Yeah, sure. But if Carson continues to play like he has, and he's also clearly hurt, you're down 3 scores on the road anyway. This game is over. It doesn't matter. Your defense can't get pressure, and it is what it is. So why not see what the kid has for the final 20 minutes of the game? And that's where I've just been doing this long enough to know. I know a lot of people listening don't believe the optics of it should matter. I know this market at least good enough to know it matters more than you think, which I think you and I both would say we don't agree with.
Right.
That shouldn't matter. Finding out what you have should matter and not the optics of the first rounder versus the UDFA. But that's the only thing I could truly think about I watch Max Brosmer a lot go to a short, quick passing game, which if you don't have an offensive line that can pass protect for 3.5 seconds, I've watched Max do it long enough that he can go out and implement something.
Doesn't it seem like that would be a good problem to have, though? If you put Max in and he actually does play pretty well. And now certainly you have the first round pick, and he's just by nature of the draft pick investment, he's going to get the lion's share of opportunity.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't. You got to find out what you have in JJ because he can't stay on the field.
You certainly do.
Yeah.
But that seems like it'd be a good problem to have if the undrafted kid plays pretty well.
What do we know? We're just a couple of schmucks on the radio, right?
No, that's it. Schmuck is the key word there. At least for me. I won't speak for you. You're the expert. I've never seen you this hard on PJ's team. See, you're getting a little loose on the pros here, but I see how it works. To that end, do you think Carson is a little bit? And then we'll get to the college team. You think Carson's like? I was a sacrificial lamb out there.
Oh, for sure.
And in 5 years, I'm not going to be able to change a light bulb or grab something off the top shelf with my left arm. So J.J. McCarthy better be damn good.
Oh, my goodness.
He better be damn good since I can't play catch with my kids in a decade after this shoulder thing.
Did you see the shot of him? I think it was like 3 or 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He is leaned back on the bench, looking up at the scoreboard, just despondent, just contemplating life. All I could picture, the song playing in his head was Hello, Darkness, My Old Friend.
My old friend.
That's how I'm sure he felt after taking hit after hit after hit after hit. Yeah, I could continue to go with that. But, yeah, there was a sacrificial lamb aspect of that game. And if I'm KOC, whether it's Brosmer or whether it would have been XYZ quarterback, put somebody else out there just to let him take the hits if that's the point.
No, I have just so much respect for Carson. I think the experiment does need to end. And with 10 days until the Lions game at Ford Field, I'm starting to push the chips in that JJ's just going to practice all week and he's going to be the guy at Ford Field because the bit ain't working.
I'm with you.
To the Gophers, the bit has been working. Can we replicate in some ways in completely different scenarios, obviously, between what, is it safe to say, I said it with Greenway, is this Dylan Raiola thing like just a hardcore Pat Mahomes cosplay affair here? Because from the hair to the shades to the walk, even to how he actually on the field in some ways tries to manipulate the situation. I mean, it's good to have role models and heroes, but that was freaking uncanny. But we sacked him 9 times and dominated him in the Huskers. Can we replicate that again? Different QBs, different scenarios, but can we bring that down to Iowa City tomorrow?
That is the question. I mean, you've been talking about it with Greenway. You've asked me here, why is the line 8.5, 9.5, whatever it is? Because this Gopher football team has not been consistent week to week. I don't know what team's going to show up tomorrow, and that's from the guy who covers this program every single day of his life and has for 15 years. This is a Gopher football team in 2025 that just 13 days ago against Purdue, that defense allowed 450 total yards, over 250 on the ground, had no sacks on 40-something dropbacks, and then on a short week at home against Timu Patrick Mahomes, sacked him a program record 9 times. I mean, if you knew what you were getting on a given week from this team, it'd be a lot easier, to the words of the man coming in at 11 o'clock, prognosticate what it's going to look like. But this is a Gopher football team that hasn't traveled well so far this year on the road. They're 0-2. Now, they also haven't played a road game when the sun has still been up, and they went out to Berkeley, and it was kind of cursed where it was a 9:30 p.m. kickoff local time that fell apart after midnight local time. Then they were the sacrificial lamb for Ohio State on their homecoming.
Yeah, you can't really say they haven't played well on the road. Let's just kind of focus in on that Cal game. And I know, these players get up for games, and there's always a chance to win every one. Pragmatically, there was not a chance that they were coming out of Ohio Stadium.
No.
The shoe.
I think Ohio State is clearly the best team in college football, and they have been all season. I mean, they are just, as the kids would say, they are a wagon right now. Anybody they run into, they're just toying with their opponents at this stage, trying to get healthy to the college football playoff. Julian Sand looks incredible. And
have they allowed more than a touchdown to anybody? I mean, maybe
Illinois was able to put up a couple of touchdowns on them, but that was about it. I mean, they've got 2 first-round receivers in Jeremiah Smith and two NFL drafts, Carnell Tate next year. They've got a Heisman guy quarterback. They've got first-round picks on a defense. Matt Patricia is thinking to himself, "Ha, Belichick, you thought like we couldn't do this thing without you. Here I am in college now making this thing work." So when you look at them going down to Iowa City, again, they haven't won back-to-back games in Iowa City in over 40 years. I mean, it has been a house of horrors for them. Now, they won 12-10 2 years ago with the bit. They've done it, but that is such a difficult football team in such a difficult environment, especially now that this is the first time Hawkeye fans have seen this Gopher team since the invalid signal that was heard around the world, which I still think was correctly called. Because,
of course you do.
Well, I haven't seen too many punt returners, especially elite ones like Cooper DeJean, put out his arm to the side there and kind of give a little wave over the hospital like they're going to do, and Minnesota will also do after the first quarter there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun environment. I mean, that 98-pound bronze pig, it means a lot to both fan bases. I know that this Gopher football team and the staff, they've got a lot of respect for Kirk Ferentz and Phil Parker and what they do down there. All they do is win 8 games every year, which is so difficult to do in college football. And it is a fascinating game to kind of get into.
This Gophers team, what do you think PJ's learned about this group? And maybe you've learned it, and we all have just by watching the games, where the ability to win with Drake Lindsay when you couldn't run the ball to save your life, to, in a lot of ways, not that Drake wasn't bad against Nebraska at all, but it was also the first time now that we really saw Darius Taylor come to life. And man, we needed it. I wish he would have gotten into the end zone there. It stinks that he stepped out at the 1. But what do you think he's learned about this team and kind of trying to balance developing the kid, probably banging his head against the wall with this run game situation, the O-line kind of finding their way along throughout this, just very wonky. Despite being 5-2, I would say they're wonky in terms of what we can get out of the run game, and then again, just continuing to see the growth of the young QB.
Yeah, the young QB is, I think, what we've learned the most about is that Minnesota's, I think, got a special one here in Drake Lindsay. If you were to have told me, and I thought I was high coming coming into the year on him, but through his first 7 career starts, he's got 10 touchdowns, only 3 giveaways, which I think is a very important stat for a young quarterback, completing over 60% of his passes. I mean, this offense overall has 1 giveaway in 4 Big Ten games. I mean, they have been very good in that regard, and that's without largely a running game. Going into that Nebraska game last week, they were averaging 44 rushing yards per game. Now, I see it on your hat, and you're wearing a nice little row the boat hat for PJ, and I am sure he appreciates that.
Yeah.
But RTB doesn't just stand for row the boat in Dinkytown. It stands for run the ball.
Oh, it does.
And they hadn't been able to run the ball until Darius came back last week. They've had 4 different offensive line combinations in their last 4 games, so they're trying to figure it out. We'll see if they stick with the same one in Iowa City.
4 different line combos?
Different guys in different spots.
The pro team has had 16 or 17.
Yeah, well, there's only so many games for this college team, so they're trying.
Fair. Okay.
They're trying to figure it out up front. It's trying to continue to build around Drake, though. I mean, that's the thing with this is I don't think the Kinnick environment is going to fluster him too much. We've seen him in front of 100,000 in Columbus, and I thought he played largely very well. It's how does the offensive line hold up? But I just think what we've learned is it could be pretty fun here with Drake.
Yeah.
And I think Drake is the player I thought Ethan Kaliakmanis was going to be. The biggest difference being with Drake, and you're able to see it at the line, is he's got Max Brosmer's processor at a young age. They do as much motion and shifts, and Drake has the ability to adjust things to the line of scrimmage to what he sees in the motion. And they tried to emulate kind of an NFL offense, and I know that I was talking to Tanner Morgan, and I saw that he wrote about it with Chip Scoggins at the Star Tribune. He calls it Vikings Junior with this offense, trying to give Drake as much information pre-snap as he can handle, and then he can make an adjustment to get them into the right look. I mean, he is just a freshman, and it's exciting to see a quarterback in Dinkytown be able to know what he's looking for, adjust things at the line, and you got to live in the moment. I know everybody wants to talk about, well, we'll see what happens after the season. I feel like we did that last year with Coy Parrish. I feel like we did that the last 2 years with Darius Taylor. And last I saw, they're going to be very impactful players for Minnesota on Saturday.
The growth process with Drake, you think any of that plays into the run game? I wonder, if he's getting multiple options.
Yes.
He's gonna make mistakes along the way.
Sure.
And maybe that's part of just kind of finding the right time to pull the string on this play. Or we run into this side of the line and just making those checks. Kind of living with some of those mistakes and those learning experiences along the way, too.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh, and quarterback Drake Lindsay have talked about that in recent weeks, that they're trying to get Drake better at getting them into the right run looks, where if they come out expecting this look off the motion, well, Drake's got to be able to then understand, okay, I got to adjust the play here, or check from the ID from, say, the one technique defensive tackle to let's go to the Mike linebacker instead. Get the guys up front knowing where they're supposed to be blocking. That is certainly part of the run game issues. So it's not just the offensive line. It also doesn't help this running offense that they missed Darius Taylor for a month.
Yeah.
And Darius Taylor finally looked like Darius Taylor last week, and they're going to need him down in Iowa City. But yeah, that is a part of the learning curve for a young quarterback, especially with all the things they continue to put on his shoulders, is he's only going to get better in theory, game after game after game.
We're going to pause, do a little cash giveaway bit. Then when we come back, I want to drill down exactly what we might expect to see tomorrow. 2:30 p.m., it's Kinnick. It's Floyd or Rosedale on the line. And PJ's got axes, and he just beats up all over Nebraska whenever he gets a chance. That pig, though. The elusive, squealing pig. 1-7, I believe. Let's make it 2-7 starting tomorrow. But we're going to talk more about that with Gopher Illustrated's Ryan Burns when we return. But first, a cash keyword from Devin.
The Fan and 2 Minute and Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword WIN at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword WIN. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
You're listening to The Fan.
All right, so I was sold a bill of goods. By the way, I don't know how much you follow The Bison.
I mean,
it's a big one.
It's a big one coming up here.
Dakota Marker game, right?
Yeah, Tim Polisek's crew.
Is there some sort of boulder or a physical rock that's on the line?
Yeah.
The marker, and it is just a rock, right?
I'm also disappointed that College Game Day isn't going to be there, but can you imagine the pre-production meeting with those folks? Trying to convince Nick Saban to go to Brookings, South Dakota instead of Nashville. Can you? I say this with the utmost peace and love to the folks in the Dakotas. Okay, I've spent time out there.
I've had some good times in Brookings. I'm a big fan of the Dakotas.
Yeah, but can you imagine trying to convince Saban and he hears we're going where? No, we're not going there. Even though I just listened to Saban on College Game Day last week.
McAfee would make it a party.
Oh my goodness,
McAfee would enjoy himself.
Yeah, there'd be some tomfoolery and skullduggery out there.
There certainly would. Go Bison. Go. I think South Dakota. They've held serve at home against the Bison in recent years.
South Dakota State. We got to make that important.
You're right.
Yes.
I apologize. South Dakota State.
Because we're going to be talking about their former quarterback, who I'm sure they wish that they had there this weekend to help beat the Bison, and Mark Gronowski down there at Iowa. But yes.
So that's where I was sold a bill of goods.
Okay.
I heard this is like hey guys, turn on the TV. Iowa has a QB that can throw it. That's not true. He hasn't found his way through the air, hasn't eclipsed, I don't even think, 200 yards in a game. But he's got some legs, and he's working his way on the ground. Him and Moulton providing, and I can't remember if it was Washington or another cat. They might be working through some injuries or some health issues with their running backs at this point. But
yep,
is it Kamani or Kamari?
Kamari Moulton.
Kamari Moulton. Mm-hmm. He's going to be kind of their lead back this weekend. But him and Gronowski on the ground serves to be quite a challenge for PJ's team.
It is. Yeah, the Mark Gronowski experience has been very interesting for the first, I'll say, 2 months down there in Iowa City, because they take him from South Dakota State. And he has the off-season shoulder surgery, misses all of spring ball, gets back over the summer, and then has not been able to be the passer that he was out there in Brookings.
I hear they think, kind of like Jake Browning in the Washington days, that the shoulder situation has impacted him.
There's the only thing that makes sense to me as to why, and I was looking at the stats earlier this week, and I didn't exactly believe them, but it's true. He's got no passing touchdowns and 5 picks against Power 4 teams this year.
Okay.
They're only throwing it for about 130 yards per game in those games.
Quite Parrish, though.
But where he is just so good, and he was out there for South Dakota State as well, is he's got 10 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he is lethal in the red zone. You saw it last week, too, with a 70-yard scamper against Penn State. He's got more rushing touchdowns himself than the entire Gopher football team. As we talked about in the first segment, RTB doesn't just mean row the boat, it's run the ball.
Run the ball.
And he has been so good in the red zone for them. And that's going to be the biggest key for Danny Collins and this Gopher defense is take away Gronowski's legs. Make him beat you with his arm, because it's not just Gronowski. It's also their pass-catching core. They're without their best tight end. He's out for the year because of injuries. They've been banged up at receiver, and then these interceptions, I watched one last week against Penn State, just bounced off the guy's, essentially his chest, into the arms of a Penn State defender. I'm thinking to myself, that's going to go down as an interception, but that's not Gronowski's fault.
Right.
Where Iowa is so good this year, and you mentioned Kamari Moulton in the run game and Gronowski, is they're averaging almost 200 yards a game on the ground. And they have one of the best offensive lines, not only in the Big Ten, but in college football. You look at PFF, and you and I both agree on this, I know it, that PFF grade's not the end-all, be-all for anything, certainly.
Very much so. That is correct.
But you look at who...
But they can be useful.
They can be useful. And where I'm going with this is you look at who the top 5 graded players are in the Iowa offense. That's left tackle to right tackle. And they are all very, very good. I mean, I'm watching guys like Brandon Thorne do cut-ups about him. That center and the right tackle are going to be NFL top 100 draft picks next year. They're very good up front. And I think a lot of Gopher fans remember what they did in the second half against their team at Huntington Bank Stadium last year, where Caleb Johnson went absolutely bonkers, and that whole game went pear-shaped very, very quickly. That's going to be the thing, is if you can just dedicate yourself to stopping the run, which is a lot easier said than done for many teams against Iowa so far this year, and make Gronowski beat you with his arm. Now, I'm also aware that many Iowa quarterbacks have played like this coming into the Gopher game. Again, for the Pig, Floyd of Rosedale in the bit, and then the reincarnation of Brad Banks, or you can pick your favorite Iowa quarterback over the years. They come to play. I remember the Alex Padilla bit a few years ago, comes in as the backup and is just slinging that thing all over the. And I know that Mike Grimm is somewhere just losing his mind because that's happening. But they have to be able to stop the run on Saturday. You can't stop the run. This thing won't be close. You have to stop the run on Saturday if you're Minnesota.
So is this going to look like the Purdue game where they went for like 260?
Well, that was my point.
You get the pick six and you still win it over the Boilermakers, but my goodness, was that frustrating to watch.
Well, that's the recipe for Saturday. Is if you are going to give up that many rushing yards, you better be at least plus. I mean, they were +3 in the take give that day.
There we go.
Is you cannot go into Iowa City, and maybe even a bigger key than stopping the run is going to be. You have to be at least +2 in the take give.
Yep.
You can't go into Iowa City. If you're PJ Fleck and he loves to try to do what Iowa does on any given week, and that's just control the clock, run the ball, play good defense, make the other team beat themselves, you're not going to out Iowa in Iowa City. That's a lot of Iowas there, but that's my point is you got to be at least +2. And that's where they were, I think, a couple of years ago when Nathan Kaliakmanis and then that whole bit, they went and won 12-10. I think they were +2 or 3 in the take give that day. If you are just even and neither team turns over the ball, Iowa's going to win this game. Yeah. That's the way this thing goes in Iowa City. So they got to find a way to turn over Gronowski at least a couple of times, and then the offense has to capitalize on those opportunities.
Well, brace yourself for this big-time Gophers opinion from me, Nordo, 9 to noon, and for PA in studio about 20-some minutes from now, 20 minutes from now, we'll call it. They've averaged 14 points per game on offense over their last 6, specifically 14. They won with 12, okay? Took a weird play at the end of the game to get there a couple years ago.
You're talking about Minnesota's offense against Iowa?
Minnesota's offense, man, 14, 12, 10, 22. Whoa, offensive explosion. 7, 19. The last 6 years, man, they cannot find their way into the end zone at a high level down there, and that has to change.
It's a lot, yes, and I wish I had the answer to how does that change.
It's Jalen Smith, the Mankato kid.
Yeah, we just got to get the piano off his back when he's trying to get into the end zone there. Now, I did watch that back because I know there were some text messages exchanged between some people. Looked like he banged his knee the play before.
Okay.
And you're a high-level athlete. Many people have said that about your time down there in Mankato. Look at you. I mean, come on now. You are.
Mediocre high school goalkeeper was my... I was listed as a prep phenom once or twice in the
look at you.
Mankato Free Press. Yeah, shutout against Winona. Yeah, big deal.
Well, you've often told me if you bang knees against somebody, it's going to hurt for a few minutes there. And after that play, he did go into the injury tent and then was testing some things on the sidelines. And that's his bit. Is Jalen Smith.
Mankato kid needs to find those jets.
In theory, he's among the fastest players on this team. I mean, he was a great 100-meter guy down there for Mankato West as well. But they've got to find ways to, as you said, I mean, it's easier said than done against Phil Parker. Phil Parker is one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. But I look at this Iowa team and think, this isn't the 2018 creatures that they had running around where it was Jack Campbell, A.J. Epinesa, Chauncey Golston, among others. I mean, they were very, very good, and they do have the reigning Big Ten Player of the Week at safety and Xavier Nwakba, former 5-star guy. But they have to find ways to, when you do get across Iowa's 30-yard line, you got to convince the head coach to go for the jugular, go for the shots in the end zone, go for things that aren't going to result in a field goal, because playing for 7 in Iowa City is what's going to win you a football game, not playing for 3.
There you go. I dig that. Just 1 or 2 more for you here. I got several on this, but I'll just read the most recent one from Tom. Is there enough money in the Huntington Bank vault to keep Drake in maroon and gold? I get it, but that has to be one of the most common questions you're getting now that we are seeing Drake. You mentioned we're on to something special with him, and just in the NIL universe, it's just, well, he's gone. It's obvious he's going to be gone. He'll find his way to the SEC next season.
Sure.
And maybe he replaces Pavia down at Vanderbilt now that they're trying to build something down there at some point. But you get my point, is everyone, you see something you love and you're immediately forlorn and the foreboding nature of, well, he's obviously going to leave in the portal next year. Any opinion on that at all, or just enjoy what you're watching at the moment? You think he's gone.
Justin Gard, 3 to 6:30, and myself and Chip Scoggins from the Star Tribune. We have a podcast called Parent to Spare.
Parent to Spare. It's awesome. Free iHeartRadio app.
It is. And Justin went off on this week because we do get it a lot. And I understand the question. I don't blame people for asking the question. I would just ask them this. I heard it last year with Coy Parrish when he's enjoying a first-team All-Big Ten season. I heard it 2 years ago when it was Darius Taylor. I heard it 3 years ago when it was Ariante Ursary, Ja Joyner. You don't have to be the highest one in the room to keep people now. There is enough money, I believe, between Dinkytown athletes and the house settlement that now the university can pay football players over $14 million. Now that's spread out across all 100-something bodies, and we'll see what Fleck and his general manager elect to give Drake. I would also encourage people to look into Drake Lindsey's background and see where he comes from, where his grandfather, I believe, was intertwined in business with someone who built a gigantic stadium for the Dallas Cowboys. You may have heard of him, Jerry Jones. Those two were business partners together.
Yeah, which means he's going to go back to Arkansas.
I just no. Look.
The Rubes are worried.
I understand that they're worried because anytime something good happens in Minnesota sports, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm a 1992 baby. I haven't seen a pro sports team make a championship game in my lifetime for male pro sports teams. I know we got to throw out that thing. I mean, I've seen 120-something seasons of it. Like, anytime something good happens, it's this market, and I know it. Again, I cover Gopher football for a living. What do you think I grew up in those Mason years or the Brewster years? So I just would tell people.
Your point is what this person just texted in. Nordo, his family is loaded. The Lindsays have their own suite.
Look,
so you're saying it's going to take...
It's not about money for... Or at least in my theory, and again, I'm closer to it than a lot of people, and I understand that. I think that Drake Lindsey knows what his offensive coordinator, Greg Harbaugh, put the belief in him, same with Fleck.
There's comfort in that, too.
There is.
In the growth.
There is a lot of comfort in that. And look, if somebody wants to come in and offer Drake Lindsey Carson Beck money, for those of you who don't know who Carson Beck is, he's Miami's quarterback. They took him from Georgia. I think he's reportedly getting over $4 million a year. I mean, that's how crazy this thing can be. And I think Drake Lindsey is worth multi-millions of dollars in this market if he wants it. What is that? I mean, it doesn't always have to be about the money. Sometimes it can. Do you think
the Arkansas kid wants to be? I mean, do you think he's Miami Lamborghini guy?
I don't think so. I know that Drake Lindsey is one of us, where he grew up going duck hunting in the timber down there with his dad. I mean,
I think Carson Beck might need some more years of college eligibility, because I don't think it's going to work in the NFL for old Beck.
Yeah, we're going to find out. Look, every situation is different, and I'm sure when Arkansas does hire someone. And I even think about back when Fleck loves to talk about how he went to a state championship game. You know who the Arkansas newly hired offensive coordinator was that showed up at that game trying to get in the ear of the Lindsey family saying you should stay home? Bobby Petrino, who's now the interim head coach for the Arkansas. Look, I'm sure whoever the next Razorback head coach is going to look at the Lindsays and say...
Bobby Petrino, like moped side piece bit?
Yes.
Bobby Petrino?
Newly hired. He gets fired and then rehired because the SEC, we don't care. We just want results. It's a whole different bit down there than it is up here in Big Ten country.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Enough of that, but...
anything is possible, Nordo. I'm not worried about it right now.
Last thing, you doubted the maroon and gold a week ago.
I did. I picked Nebraska. I did. Oh, yeah.
What are we doing this time around? Because I was reading your website, and you had it looked like some cohorts from Iowa. There was a very black and gold, black and yellow tinted vibe to some of the analysis leading up to this game. Where are we going this time?
I'm going to lean Iowa right now. I think 8.5, 9.5, wherever you want to find it at your favorite sports book, is too many points for me.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think this is a game that both teams want to do. And I'll tell you this, PJ Fleck loves UFC. He's a huge UFC guy. And he's talked about all week that an Iowa type of game is jab here, jab there. And then you try to land one or two. And you can't give up the big play on the other side. And so I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, but I worry about the Iowa offensive line. They have been very good. This Gopher defensive line has been incredibly inconsistent. For folks who do turn on the game, 2:30 on CBS, watch number 00 for the Gophers on defense. He is the next top 60 overall draft pick for them, Anthony Smith. Yeah. He's got 19.5 tackles for loss in his last 14 games. He currently leads the Big Ten in sacks. I mean, he's one of the least talked about players in the Big Ten for how good he is and how good he will continue to be. They need him to shine. And then the boy from Esco, Coy Parrish,
make a play.
He needs to have his best tackling specific game of the season. Because if this offensive line is going to do what I think they're going to do, and that's climb to the second level, Get on the Gopher linebackers. That's going to be Coy Parrish, Kerry Brown, Aiden Gooseby one-on-one in space with Gronowski or Kamari Moulton. He's got to make the tackle to make it 2nd and 3. You miss that, the 7-yard gain turns into 57, and this thing gets pear-shaped in a hurry. It's got to be one of Coy Parrich's best games of the year.
I dig it, man. Thanks for all you do with Gopher Illustrated. Thank you, whether it's Pair and the Spare, and you're always apt to come and hang out in studio when we ask, and we appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you.
At Ryan Burns, MN via X. Again, tomorrow, 2:30, Kinnick. Mr. Burns will be there, and hopefully that pig will be coming back to Minnesota. I know Ryan's driving down by himself. Maybe he'll volunteer to bring Floyd back up to campus. I think that'd be really nice of him to do that. Second final hour is coming up with PA in studio, but a little bit of news next on the Fan. What up, short segment, expecting PA in here, let's call it 10, 12 minutes or so. Excited to see the host after, sadly, the welcome home is not cheery, given the 37-10 beatdown that he watched the team endure last night at SoFi. But News to Nord, we'll do a short segment here, is always brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, canterburypark.com. Whether it's poker, blackjack, and table games, you can do that all year, feeling the felt. You can have sips at chips and tip Derek Allen on your way out. And live racing is on pause, of course, until the spring. But the NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge on Thursdays, I want to remind you of that. I try to do it every time because it's a cool way to win prizes on a weekly basis. You just roll in on Thursdays, pick the NFL games and who you think's going to win over the weekend. So you get weekly winners. Then at the end of the season, somebody's going to win free fuel for a year, courtesy of Quick Trip. So that's just awesome. And Canterbury rocks, right? So CanterburyPark.com for all event details. I was trying to pull some stuff up here. I'm not finding at least elite new intel on this gambling bit that kind of rocked things, kind of shook the cradle a bit yesterday in terms of the FBI. Chauncey Billups coaches an L for his Blazers on opening night against Anthony Edwards and the Wolves. The next morning, he's getting arrested by the FBI, and there's this illegal poker ring thing where he's luring in big-timers to play in basically rigged poker games and take all their money. I was watching something, somebody had posted a video. It was like a poker podcast from like 2023 where somebody was openly talking about like, there's something wrong with that game. And I just wonder how everything's digital now. There's so much information that's immediately available where, everyone's got a podcast now too, right? So I just wonder how long the rumor mill was pushing before some of this came to fruition. The FBI clearly has been investigating this for a number of years. Damon Jones also in the mix. Terry Rozier, he's just trying to get a pizza and some chicken wings like Rashawn Holmes in the bubble. He's arrested outside a hotel in Orlando. So the thing's weird, the thing's awful, and just waiting for more dominoes to fall on that. Meanwhile, the World Series begins tonight. Dodgers and Jays in Toronto. The Dodgers heavily favored in this series. They've lost one game all postseason. And I've seen Dodger fans complaining about their bullpen a bit. Is that the Achilles heel in terms of their entire operation? But it's still pretty good, by the way. And when you have Yamamoto and some of these guys rolling complete games in the postseason, well, that's a thing. So they do a pretty good job protecting them. By the way, they hit for a million. The Jays, they're hitting 300 as a squad right now. Springer and Vlad, I think they have 10 or 11 home runs in the postseason combined. You got Varsho and Lukes, a couple guys helping big time. It's a fun matchup, but doesn't it feel, again, the Dodgers have just mowed people down. And the Brew Crew certainly with Mizorowski and some pitching, they weren't built for 10-run games on a nightly basis and an absolute offensive shootout, but the way that they were just absolutely neutralized in that NLCS series was concerning if you're, whether you were going to be the Mariners or in this case the Blue Jays, just what the Dodgers were able to do. And Ohtani, of course, the unicorn game in that finale against the Brewers, the 3 home runs, the 10 Ks, unbelievable performance. Weird thing with Ohtani, kind of a meh postseason leading up to that game, and he wasn't very good last year either. But like the worst player on their team is Max Muncy, hitting at 400 into right center. So it feels like the obvious answer in the end is the Dodgers, although this series, if it was to go 7, 4 of them are going to be in Canada, up in Toronto at the Rogers Center. I saw this via FanDuel. For the Dodgers to win in 4 games, plus 550, 5 games, plus 250, 6, plus 210, and 7, plus 235. Again, maybe I need to ask Ohtani, speaking of betting and such and weird stuff going on, maybe I need to ask Ohtani's old interpreter, but the FanDuel odds, I'm feeling 5 games for the Dodgers. We'll see. Wolves tonight. No LeBron with the sciatic, the nerve issue. All us old guys can relate, certainly. Luka went for 40-plus in the loss to Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry in the opener. Curry went off last night again, by the way. Oh, some sweet OT games taking place. I think Aaron Gordon, of all people, for the Nugs last night, went for 50, hit 10 triples. Then you have, 55, 56 points by SGA. And just some fun, weird games taking place early in the season. Every game can be different, but it was all Luka and Austin Reeves the other night, and I wonder if that kind of stays the same. DeAndre Ayton working his way in. It's kind of scrub city outside of that. I'm hoping that the Wolves aren't losing games because of Gabe Vincent, Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, etc. But Marcus Smart, he only got 23 minutes in the opener. He is not the Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics days, certainly. Not even maybe Marcus Smart of the when he was able to take the freaking court in Memphis. However, Marcus Smart at one point was like that bulldog that when you just needed some defense and you needed attitude and you needed to irritate the other team's best scorer, you just let him off the leash and he goes to work. So I'm curious if Marcus Smart, albeit maybe in limited minutes, plays a factor into this game. Wolves are favored in LA. I hope they win. So we'll see. NFL matchups, maybe we get into that final hour with the host. Wild tomorrow, reminder, 6-game homestand begins tomorrow with the Mammoth in town, Grand Casino Arena. It's a 5 p.m. puck drop, need 2 points. The road trip was diseased. So that's where we're at in a truncated News du Nord. News du Nord, always, as I mentioned, brought to you by the casino. Not just a casino, the casino at Canterbury Park. And when we return, the host of 9 to Noon, I've seen signs of life. Paul Allen's going to be in studio, and we're going to handle some business final hour. I got text messages. Keep those talkbacks coming. Free iHeartRadio app. I'm going to be firing those up throughout the final hour as well as we continue to unpack, put a bow on the Friday football famine/feast, and then hopefully by Monday we can go full force ahead. Who's going to be playing QB, and how are we going to beat them kiddies? But final hour is around the corner next, 9 to noon on the Fan.